Well, interesting games capped off. Let's start with the Ravens Chiefs. The Chiefs playbook, I could probably write it down right now, and if it could, it would be a whole lot of run plays and like very little passing because they just kept running because they have no faith in Matt Castle. And as of late, could you really blame him? He's sucked. But I mean, this is the way you go about it if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to mix it up. You can't just be too freaking predictable. I mean, fortunately, and then Castle did throw a pick. Although you could say it was Dwayne Bowe's fault because he tipped it in the early going, and it set up for a Ravens field goal. And then the Chiefs would eventually drive down the field thanks to Charles, and it was basically 9 running plays and no passing plays on that drive. It was 3-3 at halftime. But then third quarter came, Chiefs would recover a fumble on a kick return, but then Castle would get to the 1-yard line and fumble the ball. They could have taken their first lead of regulation for the entire season, and they screw it up. And the Ravens would get a field goal afterwards. They make it 6-3. And then Castle would throw another pick, although it was another tip interception, but nonetheless it was an interception. One of the few times he does throw it. And then we're looking at 3 turnovers for Matt Castle in 3 quarters. But the Ravens only have 3 field goals to show for, so it was 9-3 by the end of the third quarter. Then the Chiefs Matt Castle would take a headshot. He would be injured. And in comes Brady Quinn. He was actually driving down the field pretty well. Then they get a touchdown called back on a bullcrap pass interference on McCluster when he was the one who got laid out by Ed Reed or whoever was covering him. That was a controversial call that could have cost the Chiefs game as well. And they get the field goal. They would only settle for a field goal. And then afterwards, the defense stripped Joe Flacco of the ball. Joe Flacco was still standing up, but they call him down even though he's standing up, and he lost the ball. This is 2 controversial calls, 2 touchdowns taken away from Kansas City, who worked their butts off to try to win this game. And then to get jobbed like this by the refs is amazing. And the Ravens did not deserve to win today. That's just all I got to say about it. And Matt Castle does not deserve to be a starting quarterback. It needs to be Brady Quinn. Not that he's that much better than Castle, but he can at least throw the ball and at least make smarter decisions, as far as I know. But either way, the Ravens won 9-6. Ravens play the Cowboys next week. Chiefs play the Buccaneers. Let's go on to the next game. We have Eagles-Steelers. That was one of the big games. Michael Vick got to the 1-yard line early in the first quarter and then fumbles. And then the Steelers went capitalize on it because they were deep in their own possession. And then the Eagles had the ball again. And guess what Michael Vick does? Come on, take a wild guess. He fumbles the ball again. And it sets up for a Mendenhall touchdown. This was the return of Marshawn Mendenhall today. 13 yards, 7-0. And then the Steelers get a field goal, 10-0. Vick would drive him down the field in the third. He didn't drive him down the field the rest of the first half. And then in the second half, they got something going. Vick got a 15-yard touchdown pass to LaShawn McCoy, making it 10-7. But then the fourth quarter was basically a defensive stamina for most part, made 13-7. Then Vick gets a late 6.5 minutes to go because of a touchdown to Brent Sell at 14-13. But then Steelers were able to drive down the field methodically and get a game-winning field goal, 16-14. The Pittsburgh Steelers, as hard as it was, they pulled away with the win, and this was much needed for them as they went 16-14. Steelers have a Thursday game against the Tennessee Titans at Tennessee. Eagles battle the Lions at home. Now, let's go on to the Falcons-Redskins. I thought this was a very interesting game, to say the least. Matty Ice, didn't start out so well for them. He threw a pick-6 to Ryan Kerrigan, making it 7-0. But then Matt Ryan later in the quarter gets a touchdown to Tony G at 7-7, and that would be the halftime score. Third quarter, before the Billy Cundiff field goal, RG3 took a shot to the head, a shoulder lean into it. He got concussed, so he would have to sit out for the rest of the game. As Kirk Cousins, or it was 10-7, but fourth quarter came, Matt Ryan throws a big-time pass to Julio Jones. Nice play by Julio, making it 14-10. But then Kirk Cousins, the backup for RG3, threw a 77-yarder to Santana Moss. Deep arm. And I thought he was kind of like maybe an unnecessary pick for the Redskins, but it's a good quality backup to have. and it paid off at 17-14. Then the Falcons would come back with a field goal, and then Michael Turner with a late 13-yard touchdown run with 2:46 left, 24-17. And Cousins will show his inexperience as he threw another interception that cost him the game. Redskins lose 24-17 to the Falcons. Falcons are still undefeated at 5-0. Redskins fall to 2-3. Atlanta will be at home next week to take on the Oakland Raiders. Redskins got the Vikings in Minnesota, and it's a home game, so maybe RG3 gets his first win if he can come back next week. Let's go with an upset special. Dolphins-Bengals. Cincinnati got 2 field goals early from Mike Nugent in the first, making it 6-0, but then Daniel Thomas gets a touchdown run, 1-yarder actually. It was a 7-6. Reggie Bush did play today. He got a touchdown in the third quarter, making it 14-6, and it would be 17-6. But then Andy Dalton would try to strike late early in the fourth as it gets a 2-yard pass to AJ Green. Then they had a chance in the final 2 minutes, but Andy Dalton throws a pick, and they lose at home to the Dolphins 17-13. This was a bad loss. Cincinnati needed all the wins they could get, and now they lose the game at home to a not-so-superior Dolphin team. But the Dolphins have been competitive in every game this year pretty much, except maybe week 1 against the Texans. Bad loss for the Bengals. Good win for the Dolphins. Or bad loss for Bengals. Good. Whatever. You know what I mean. Bengals got to go to Cleveland next game against the Browns next week, and the Miami Dolphins have the Rams at home next week. So it's a good chance for the Dolphins to try to get back in the season, but one more that will remain to be seen. Let's go on to Giants-Browns. Giants struggle early as a turnover here, and then a 76-yard touchdown by Brandon Weeden there makes it 14-0. The first touchdown being a Trent Richardson score. And we thought the Giants playing down to the competition coming back to bite them. But Eli Manning threw it to Victor Cruz, and Cruz would be huge as that would be his first touchdown, 14-7. Phil Dawson would get a field goal of 17-7, and then the Giants would just cap off a 20-0 run to end the half, and it would eventually be a 27-0 run in the early part of the third quarter as they got scores from a Tynes field goal that made it 17-10. Ahmad Bradshaw, 17-17. Victor Cruz got another touchdown, 24-17. Then Tynes got a field goal at the end of the half, made it 27-17 Giants halftime lead. And then Victor Cruz will get his third touchdown, making it 34-17. And the rest is here to tell. David Wilson will get a 40-yard touchdown run and make it a 41-20 after a Phil Dawson field goal. And 41-27 Giants win. Browns are still winless. They're 0-5. And they are going to try to get their first win next week at home against the Cincinnati Bengals, while the Giants have to go on the road to face the 49ers in an NFC Championship rematch. Big win for the Giants. Although they struggled early, they still kept their composure. Eli and Ahmad Bradshaw with his 200-yard performance was enough to win the game. So good win for the Giants to keep comeback and hold that composure to win. And last but not least, this just finished the Packers and the Colts. Now, John Kuhn got an early touchdown, 7-0, and it would jump out to a 21-3 halftime lead after 2 Aaron Rodgers touchdowns to James Jones and Randall Cobb. Colts only getting a field goal and a half. But then the Colts come firing back. Andrew Luck, Dwayne Allen makes it 21-10. And then they get a 50-yarder from clutch Adam Vinatieri. And then Luck would run it in himself for a 3-yard touchdown, making it 21-19. They would fail the 2-point pass to Reggie Wayne. Then the fourth quarter came. The Colts take an early 22-21 lead. And the Packers take a late 4.5-minute left lead as Aaron Rodgers throws another touchdown to James Jones. But then 39 seconds to go, Andrew Luck clutch pass to Reggie Wayne, making it 30-27 after a 2-point conversion by Donald Brown, excuse me. And Aaron Rodgers didn't have enough time to go, so the Packers lose to the Colts on the road 30-27, and Green Bay falls to 2-3 as they take on the Texans on Sunday Night Football next week. Colts have to go on the road to face the Jets. Bad loss if you're a Green Bay Packer. This is a bad loss for Green Bay, as they just this has just not been Green Bay's year so far. I mean, with the controversial interception in Week 3 from losing to the Colts on the road when he had a chance to win, and you dominated all first half. This was just a bad loss for the Packers. A good one for the Colts and that young franchise and their young quarterback, Andrew Luck. But that will about do it for the noon recap. Be sure to come back for the afternoon games. I'm out.